Hello and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms, the podcast that provides you with all the latest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are looking to substantially increase your caseload in the next 6 months, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy. Welcome to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy Hump Day. I hope you guys are having a rockin' week thus far. Today is a special episode. Not only is it the first episode of the second half of 2023, commencing the third quarter of 2023. Believe it or not, that's where we are. But it's also our 200th episode. So this is the fourth season of this podcast, and we've recorded 200 episodes. Can't believe it. Super duper excited to report that. And it's been going well. I'd say, I'm loving providing this kind of content for you. I'm really hoping that it's making an impact. If nothing else, actually helping you provide better marketing experiences, if you will, for your potential cases that are coming up for your attorneys out there. And if you're not an attorney, a lot of these practices really you can use for your own businesses that I use. A lot of these strategies that we talk about on the show, you can use for your own businesses. And even on the Meet the Attorney episodes, which, by the way, I have another one of those coming up next week. Even on those, you can learn something because it's for your business for the most part. So anyway, it's been a great run, and this is episode number 200. And this episode is actually brought to you by one of my prospects. Is a gentleman I know who recently was thinking about, probably by now, by the time this episode is airing, has launched his own firm. But he had a question for me because he had read somewhere, and I don't want to say what he read, but basically the question was, it was an ethics question. In other words, ethics of lawyer advertising. So I wanted to go over that because he had read some stuff, and it was a very detailed it was a very detailed article that he actually showed me, and I don't want to get into all the specifics, but the way he read it, it was something to do with ethics for lawyer advertising. But there are guidelines. And I showed him about and he's kind of saw these guidelines as well, but he just wanted to make sure because it was kind of conflicting information there. And I could see where it got a little confusing. But it's, I showed him some of the guidelines from the American Bar Association and, and showed him some few things of the ethics. So I wanted to kick off this week with this week's episode with and this quarter, I should say, I wanted to kick it off with something about ethics, about advertising, because we talk a lot about it here, but we don't actually go over the ethics about it. So let's do that here. Let's if it's something that you already know and you're okay, that's fine. If not, if you're thinking about starting your own law firm and you've been listening to me for a while, this is a good episode for you to dive in on, because this was we got into a lengthy conversation with this prospect, if you will. So without further ado, here's the content. The number one thing is that he was curious about, and it was based on the ABA, the American Bar Association. Are lawyers allowed to advertise? Lawyers are allowed to advertise their services, okay, as long as they abide by the ABA Rule 7.2. Okay, the Rule 7.2 sets down 4 essential lawyer advertising rules. Okay, and I'm going to go over these 4. I mean, it's a lot more than this, but these are the 4 essential ones. Part 1 confirms that you can advertise your services on different platforms. Part 2 explains when lawyers can and cannot compensate people and groups recommending their services. Part 3 sets limitations to when lawyers can and cannot cite that they can that they are specialists or experts in their specific fields. Part 4 clearly states that any law firm's advertising content should include the contact details of the lawyer or law firm that published the material. That's it. So Rule 72 is short and straightforward, folks. However, note that more rules are established on the state level. So it's best to stay informed about your local laws. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I pointed that out before I move on to the second point here. But because, that's the American Bar Association, but the state level can change a couple of those things. For instance, I got on there's some funky laws around the Florida law firms that, like, for instance, up here in New Jersey, we don't have to worry about. And again, I'm not. You guys are lawyers. You guys understand the rules. I'm not here to tell you exactly what you need to know, but you probably know this already. But each state has their different laws, so basically, you want to check to make sure that nothing overrides those 4 essentials that I just pointed out of Rule 7.2. Okay. Number 2, why should lawyers and law firms abide by the Rule 7.2? So here are the reasons why that you want to abide by that, right? You want to ensure poorly made advertisements cannot taint the legal industry's integrity and dignity. Okay, yes, that's very important. Also, to appropriately inform and educate audiences about the legal industry, the processes and their rights, etc. You want to appropriately, inform and educate. Also, to make sure that published lawyer advertisements have a clear message. Now, that goes without saying. That should go around all marketing, but especially attorneys. Last but not least, to reach lawyers' intended audience. That's why lawyers or law firms abide by that rule, period. Okay? Now, just before I move on to the next one, remember, there's a lot of, as the typical lawyer answer is, it depends. There's a lot of it depends on these things. So Rule 7.2 serves not to limit, but to regulate advertising for lawyers. Okay, it's kind of like a guide to ensure that the advertisements you produce contribute to the positive image of the legal industry as a whole, basically. So that is what Rule 7.2 really serves you as. Okay, so I just want to make that point before I move on. Number 3. So another major question is, what can I include in my legal advertisements? Now, this is a big one, okay? Because again, check your local laws. But I am going to keep it safe.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, attorney, are you running a lot of digital ads or maybe even SEO, Facebook ads, etc., and you're not getting the results that you're hoping for? Have you been trying to generate leads online, and although you are getting some results, you're thinking, man, something's got to be wrong because I should be getting a lot more attention? Well, if that's you, I want to help you out. Give us a call, 888-416-7752. I'd love to sit down, find out a little bit more about your business, and see if we can help you. Now, even before you do that and before we sit down and talk, I'd love for you to go to our website, lbmsllc.com. Once you type that, you're going to see on the top right-hand corner of the page a little green button that says Free Online Report. I want you to click on that button, fill out the form, and you will be emailed within 24 hours a free online report as to see exactly what's going on in your business, how are you showing up online, and that's the first step to be able to decipher exactly what's going on in your business. So if you would love a free analysis and to help us to get you to the next level, take that action right now. Download the free online report, and that will be the first step. Then give us a call at 888-416-7752, and we will schedule some time together. So with that, I'm going to bring you right back to the show, where every single law firm that I've worked with, and of course I haven't worked with every law firm in every state, but of the states that I've been working with, this has been straight, no problem. So the question is, what can I include in my legal advertisements? Okay, so number one, legal or trade name. Local advertisement laws dictate whether you can use your trade name or solely use your legal name in your ads. And again, that's a local thing. Most local that I've been working with, different states, New Jersey, Florida, etc., Texas, this has been fine. Trade name or legal name. Okay. But I don't know if there's a funky state out there that doesn't have it. So that's something that you would have to look up to. You can advertise your office address. Okay. Now, with the pandemic giving rise to remote work, the legal industry has actually become more flexible with this. The rules on including your office address in the in advertising now vary in different areas. Okay, so again, check your local laws, but for the most part, you can advertise your office address. Now, if you're working from home, it's a little funky. Again, check your local laws on that. The other thing that you can include is awards, memberships, and affiliations. Okay, like super lawyers. We talked about that in a few episodes again with the directories. If you've obtained a badge from super lawyers, that's a membership that you have or an affiliation. Stuff like that's very important. So including your awards that you have in your advertisement to boost your client trust is awesome. You can do this, and this goes across the board. I have not seen this in any of our clients that they couldn't do this. So this is very, very, very important. Rates and fees is something that's good that you can include. And not a lot of people like to do this. And I'm not a huge advocate of it because I know each case could be different, but posting your fees is not explicitly mentioned, and most firms reserve this from when potential clients sign up. for a consultation, because it really depends. Okay. You can post your fees, but if you decide to do so, make sure that that's what, you ultimately charge your clients. And then you got to wordsmith it a little bit, because let's say if this is a case that's going to cause more because of whatever the issue is, you got to be clear on how that is. And, attorneys usually know how to do that. But you can advertise rates and fees. My suggestion is that you don't, obviously, and just go by the case-by-case basis. But my point of this episode is to let you know that you can. Okay. The other one I want to talk to you about before we go on to step 4, to number 4, is willfully giving client feedback. Okay. You can advertise this. It's very important that you do this. Client rating feedback are essential in all businesses, actually, not just law firms, but very essential for law firms as well. Because there's a lot of competition out there. So the reviews and the testimonials that people are seeing, for instance, serve as what we call in the marketing world social proof for people / individuals looking for your legal services. So by all means, willfully market the given client feedback. Okay. Number 4, what details should I not include in my ads? So let's talk about this a little bit. Just as there are details that you should include, like we talked about earlier, some should be removed from your advertising materials. Okay. So, pending cases, for instance, is something that that is not allowed to be included in advertising. And if you exclude these details, you ensure that you are compliant with the law, basically, and you and your client's reputation are safe. So you don't want to include in any advertising pending cases. This should go without saying. You shouldn't even mention, I'm working on a case right now that blah, blah, blah. No. I saw a video like that not too long ago. I don't want to say who it was, but I was like, oh, wow, that's a huge no-no. False or misleading statements should not be included in your advertising. Here's what I mean. False and fictitious details about your firm that can mislead the public is what I mean. And, it kind of, it defeats the legal industry's aim for truthfulness and transparency, because that's what the legal industry is supposed to be. That's the aim of the legal industry: truthfulness and transparency. If you put in false or misleading statements, you just don't want to do that. Unofficial titles. Like for instance, if you in the past, in the other question that this person asked me, what can you be included? Yeah, if you have an award, taunt that. But if you have not received an award, or if you have, let's say you're an associate, and you've been told by your partners that you're going to be made partner, but you're not made partner yet, and I falsely advertise that you're a partner, but you're still an associate. That's not good. So let's watch that. Unofficial titles is something that you should not include in your advertising. Vague pricing and descriptions. Let's go back to pricing here. Don't put words like cheapest or best or lowest in any of your advertising. Never, ever, ever do this. When you say, "Oh, I'm the best litigator," it's not good. You should not advertise that. There are ways around that, and if you want a conversation on how to wordsmith that, and most attorneys are great at wordsmithing, so I don't even need to offer that. But I'm just saying, as a marketer, I see this a lot: cheapest, best, lowest. You just don't want to use words like that. I'm going to get you the best result. This is a definite. This is a no-brainer win for this case. You don't want to do things like that in your advertising. Okay. Stage client feedback. We talked about client feedback being important, but if you stage it, it's not good to do it in your advertising. In other words, I've seen people who've paid people to write a review for them. That's not good because that's staged. It's not authentic. Be authentic, folks. Be the most authentic attorney there is. So you don't want to falsify a 5-star review. You just don't, I've seen it, unfortunately, as well. And it's not good. Not a good thing. The last question that was asked of me during this conversation that I had with this potential client was, what is the difference between lawyer advertising and solicitation? Now, let's get into this a little bit. Lawyer advertising and solicitation are two different terms. Okay. You should know them to ensure that advertisement is done ethically. So I'm just going to go into the both terms. Lawyer advertisement, or advertising, is advertisements made for lawyers and law firms target and specific population instead of an individual. So advertisements made for lawyers and law firms target a specific population instead of an individual. Lawyer solicitation, okay, because of the ABA Rule 7.3, which we have not talked about, but I can actually put a link to that specific rule in the show notes if you guys want to take a look at it. But anyway, because of ABA Rule, that's the American Bar Association, by the way, ABA Rule 7.3, it states that advertising should be directed to the public and not to a single person. Solicitation to a single person is unethical, especially when it's done for the lawyer and the firm's financial interests. Okay, so that's the difference between lawyer advertising and lawyer solicitation. So there you have it, folks. Those right there are the 5 practical answers. Practical answers to 5 common questions when it comes to ethics of lawyer advertisements. These are questions that were asked of me. These are things that I've seen over the years of marketing and working with attorneys. So I wanted to bring that to you if you're out there thinking about, taking on your own firm or what have you, and you didn't know these things. I think this will be cool. Again, I'm going to put a link to the ABA Rule 7.3 because we didn't talk about 7.3, but I gave you a little synopsis of what it says. But so if you want to check it out, you can. It will be in the show notes. So that's about it for now, folks. This has been Frank Deming, the local business guy. Next week we have our Meet the Attorney episode, and I think you're gonna love it. I'm gonna introduce you to a very powerful attorney. So stay tuned for that. But until then, this has been Frank Deming, the local business guy. Take care and bye for now. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms, the podcast that provides you with all the latest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you would like to know more about the topic we discussed on the show today, reach out to Frank and his team at 888-416-7752 and schedule a discovery call with one of the marketing consultants. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, send an email to podcast@lbmsllc.com and we will put you on the schedule. With that being said, until next week, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.